Welcome to Be the Bank. Today's episode, we are talking about starting a note business with none of your own cash. Getting started with no startup capital is an awesome topic because this is how beginners can go risk-free into the secondary mortgage market. Let's jump right into it. All right, it's already episode number 72, October 2024. We've got like 60 days left in the year, so let's make it count. We're gonna start with our monthly recap and agenda. Then we're talking about our feature presentation, starting a note business with no startup capital. Then we're getting into our new program, the Starter membership tier. And then finally, the rebrand and the mastermind. We're gonna explain a little bit more of what's offered in our professional membership level. Then finally, case studies. We're going to be talking about a new non-performing loan resolution. So let's start right with that recap of the last month's agenda. All right, so in previous months, we've been doing our open office hour every single Monday, and that is keeping up for the rest of the year and going into 2025. Now, we do have a brand new workshop series we're starting as well. This is in addition to our open office hour every single Monday for our members. So keeping that going strong. Now, episode number 46 of our members only Zoom call was just on October 2nd. So we do these calls on the first Wednesday of every month for our members at 4 p.m. Eastern. We had 2 presentations in the latest. Diversified real estate success. We heard from Faquan Bilal, amazing presentation on how he's gotten started with mortgage notes and transitioned into all types of other real estate ventures using his knowledge from the secondary mortgage market to have success from the get-go. Then we also heard from Nathan Turner of the DME conference. He presented raising investor capital to create a note fund for those of you looking to scale up and be a bigger buyer by using investor capital, other people's money, to create your note fund. Then in our client portfolio update, we always want to touch on this to show that I'm not just educating in this space. I'm an active portfolio manager working with my clients. So here's the latest update. We closed a trade back in May of this year of 239 non-performing loans, 9.5 million of unpaid principal balance. And so far, just since May, we've already got 11 mods in progress. We've completed 10 of those loan modification agreements. Those are cash flowing. And we've had 7 payoffs. 6 were full payoffs and 1 discounted settlement. Now, total assets under management now, we've got 350 first and second position secured liens. Now, there are some unsecured liens in the portfolio as well. There's over 500 loans total, but I always focus on just the secured piece of the portfolio because that's really where you're gonna learn the most from. And my experience, my track record as a portfolio manager is exactly how I can share with you to avoid all of the pitfalls and mistakes that I've made along the way so you can get started quickly and easily. Now, at the moment, we've got 122 cash flowing loans in our client's portfolio, and we're generating almost $50,000 per month in revenue through that portfolio. A total of 13.137 million of unpaid principal balance is the current total amount owed from the borrowers in this portfolio. All right, so let's get into next month. What have we got going on? Well, first of all, November 6th, first Wednesday of the month, we got our next session. And this is a good one because we are talking title research and due diligence secrets. And then we're getting into the probably most exciting piece because it ties in with this episode, selling the pickaxes and the shovels to the gold miners. Essentially what I do as a educator and as a service provider in the space is I support investors who are putting their own capital at risk to buy mortgage notes. Obviously, I buy loans in my own portfolio as well, but one of the most risk-free ways you can get started is by creating a business servicing and adding value to investors. So that's what we're gonna get into in today's presentation. But first, I wanna share with you our brand new series, Wealth Creation Workshops. So this is beginning October 30th, today at 4 p.m. Eastern. So definitely hop in for our first session on mindset and back office, laying the foundations for success. And this will be presented by our very own Bill McCafferty. If you guys have been in the mortgage note space for any amount of time, you've probably come across Bill. He's now a valued member of the FIXnotes team, and he's going to be running these workshops once a month. All the recordings are available to our members as well. You can ask questions, of course, and get some guidance from one of the best in the business. All right, so finally, our open office hour, again, every single Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern. going through the end of the year and into 2025. We're no plans to stop that because these calls have been awesome. They're a little less formal than our workshops and our mastermind sessions that we do on the first Wednesday of the month. These are question and answer and a lot of one-on-one time with our members. So you can join our membership for access to all the recordings as well as those live calls to get your own guidance. And those calls are all organized here, and I'll make this a little bigger for you, in our forum for members. So you can see all of the previous open office hours, AI summaries, so you can actually search different topics and then listen to those recordings with all the transcripts and everything so you can see exactly what you need to get you to the next level in your note business. All right, so let's jump into today's session. No money note business from scratch. So I've got a couple of different angles I want to take here, but I want to start by talking about high-level business models. So really where you begin in this business is deciding what type of model you want to approach. And you can actually use all of these business models simultaneously, as I'm doing with FIXnotes, and I'll share with you a little bit more about that as we go through these different topics. So the first one here is deal making. So deal making is where you can either earn transaction fees by flipping deals and finding, a finder's fee from a buyer and a seller's fee from the seller to earn transaction income as you're able to get deals done. Some people call this a broker. We shy away from that word because that's registered by the Securities and Exchange Commission. That's a licensed title. So we call ourselves mortgage note matchmakers or loan sale advisors. And there are many ways to slice this. You can either earn the fee as a percentage of the deal flow, or you can earn some arbitrage by negotiating and earning a spread. So different ways you can be a deal maker, but the number one thing here is to be on the lookout for deal flow. Cash is a commodity, great opportunities, deal flow, that's the scarce resource that you should be prioritizing. So finding those opportunities and bringing them to a list of buyers, like those in our professional membership, is a great way to start earning that income through transactions. Next, we've got fintech, so financial technology, and SaaS, software as a service. So the way we've incorporated SaaS into FIXnotes' model is by offering custom software to members of our professional group to essentially help with their lead gen and nurturing of their new clients, both investors if you're raising a fund, borrowers, of course, in your portfolio, and also your sellers. So finding opportunities in the marketplace, nurturing those seller leads to become clients of yours to then flip that product. That's some software that we've developed to assist our members. We also have software for portfolio management that we deploy in our members' businesses. So having that fintech component is super cool because it creates the ability to earn subscription revenue. As you know, our professional membership tier is a monthly subscription because you have access to all this technology and resources. So by creating something in the fintech SaaS space, you can have a very sticky product that your customers want to stick around for because it gives them value. It adds value to their operations. It makes their lives easier. And eventually they can't see any other way of doing business without working with you because you make their lives so much easier. So thinking in terms of creating a software as a service, and it can be super simple just to fulfill one small challenge that an investor has in the life cycle of owning a mortgage note. We'll get into that in a minute here. You can create an amazing business that can then grow and develop from there. Next, we've got the agency model. So this is essentially being a service provider to other investors in this space. Now, I operate as a portfolio manager for some of my clients. So that's essentially an agency model where we're getting paid for the efforts that we put in to turn their non-performing loans into cash flow, payoffs, and property acquisitions at pennies on the dollar. So by being an agency, we're more in a position where we get paid for what we do. And that's why building a team and having your team help service all of your clients, you're able to scale the agency model. But it's not quite as scalable as what you'll see in the fintech side. And of course, it is kind of similar to deal making in the sense that you need to continually bring in new clients, get more deals to facilitate your income as an agency owner. And then finally here we have productized services. So I really love productized services as a business model because you can essentially create a volume-based business by having a very clear pricing tier on what you're selling. So some great examples of productized services are like video editing as a service, where essentially you can pay a monthly fee to get unlimited videos edited. So a lot of companies have run with this model. There's many other types of productized services. I've actually even seen attorneys running a productized service business before. And in the note space, we can use a productized service to essentially create something that's very clear for our clients. For example, due diligence. You could charge a flat fee to analyze loans. And that flat fee can then be priced into your client's models. So if they're raising capital, for example, they can line item that on their pro forma. It's very clear. It's a great business because of how much certainty there is around what you're offering. So we're gonna get into a bunch of different ideas that you can apply to any of these 4 different types of business models, just to give you some better understanding of this blue ocean of opportunity that there is in the secondary mortgage market and how you might be able to find your own niche here. So let's jump into that, starting with, what is this slide? Of course, adding value. So I wanna emphasize this because in the beginning, especially when you're just getting started and building relationships with your clients, you want to be adding value with no expectation or very little expectation for income in the beginning. And this is how I started working as an intern. I was just focused on becoming indispensable by adding as much value as I could so that I could basically write my own ticket as I developed my skills, because the value that I was able to deliver far exceeded what I was charging. And that's really how you do business. You have to be providing more value than you're asking from your clients. So make sure you just keep this in mind as we go through. You want to make sure to add value. All right, so let's get into some ideas here. First is acquisitions and due diligence. And acquisitions and due diligence is a main portion of a note investor's business because without deal flow, your whole operation screeches to a halt. So being able to find opportunities, that's where deal making comes in, and then analyze those opportunities in your due diligence and research process is a critical factor that you can create a solution for as a service provider or an agency or even a SaaS or a productized service for note investors. So a bunch of ideas here. One is bird dogging, finding and analyzing asset opportunities. So one side is finding, which I'd say is the most critical piece. The other side is analyzing. So if you're able to bring deal flow to your clients who are note buyers and serve it on a silver platter with a lot of the research already completed for them, then you are their go-to into the marketplace. So you're able to create an indispensable service where you're finding the deal and doing some initial analysis so that you're not wasting your buyers' time. So every time you send out a message to your buyers, they know it's gonna be a great deal because you already put in some of the legwork. And this is exactly that adding value mentality comes in, because you're not getting paid to do all this research in the beginning. You're getting paid to get the deal done. And it does take some foundational level groundwork to be built, the relationships with your clients, and of course the skills and knowledge to analyze these assets correctly, which will ensure that your clients trust you and always keep coming back for more. We've got secured scrub. Really important piece of due diligence is making sure that the loans that you're analyzing are secured. So doing that secured scrub as part of your offering. I know actually the person we're speaking with in our next session, Alex Goldovsky from ProTitle, he'll be on our mastermind call coming up in November. He has a secured scrub product where he charges $1 per asset to run through his system and give you that result back. So he's created a productized service analyzing loans. Now you could still do this business without competing with him essentially if you layer on some other value add services on top of that, because it's really the first piece of the due diligence process, and you can save your clients a ton of time if you do the secured scrub before you order credit reports, title, BPO, all the more expensive parts of the research, because you don't really need that data if a loan turns out to be unsecured. So important part of the due diligence waterfall. I'm gonna go pretty quick through these because we got a lot of slides, but MLS details, recently sold comps, Zillow, essentially doing desktop appraisals from the comfort of your home office can be super useful for note investors who want accurate property values on the portfolio they may be analyzing. Property tax and ownership research, super important as well, looking into county records to see if property taxes are current or unpaid, and then actually seeing in the public records whether there's been a lis pendens or any types of foreclosure actions proceeding. Then we've got other county public record research like assignment of mortgage verification. An awesome little niche service would be to work with clients who want to verify that the seller they're communicating with actually owns the loan and has the ability to transfer it. So verifying that the assignment of mortgage is recorded into the correct entity name, a little niche service that can be super valuable to sellers who are looking at a lot of different deals and want to make sure to weed out the bad actors who may be misrepresenting assets that aren't currently assigned to them in the public record. Then we've got credit report data entry. Now, there are services like CoreLogic's CredCo that put all the credit report data into a spreadsheet format. But I will tell you, even when I use this service, I always have to look at the credit report PDFs manually because there's a lot on there that you can discern that isn't available in the spreadsheet. Now, there are some customizations you can make to the output file, but I found that still looking at those credit report PDFs is indispensable and a value add service. So providing that bit of data entry to train a team to help you with that is super useful. Then we've got boots on the ground. So drive-by property photos, very valuable for a note investor who's investing out of state to have somebody local to analyze these properties and let you know what the situation is. Then we finally got pacer.gov. This is bankruptcy review. So looking at the voluntary petition, finding the Schedule D of secured claims, and then giving your clients basically property values and secured lien balances and statuses through the Pacer report. Very valuable service that can bog down an investor who doesn't have the time to go through all of these reports. So you can create a service out of that, which is super value add for your clients. All right, let's talk about marketing and capital raise. A bunch more ideas here. We've got social media engagement. We've got virtual event attendance for education and networking, data mining for exit metrics, portfolio stats, essentially helping investors who have the ambition to create a note fund to package up all of their track record to use in their pitch deck so that they can raise investor funds. Then we've got, pitch book presentation slides. So if you're into graphic design and organizing data, you can help facilitate a capital raise. Super lucrative, especially if you're able to negotiate a fee based on the amount of money that these pitch books are raising. We've got blog posts, industry commentary, basically putting your voice out into the world, or even ghostwriting for a client, because you can learn a ton about the business as you're doing this research and getting paid to essentially be their PR department. PPM offering doc proofreading. I mean, this is kind of a silly one, but a private placement memorandum for a new fund needs some clear understanding and proofreading. So being able to go through those documents and make sure that your clients aren't missing any I's to be dotted or T's to be crossed can be super useful. Even if you're not an attorney, you can still give it kind of a layman's term review so that the investors who may participate in that fund don't have any questions based on your understanding of the contract. And then finally, we've got investor relations and expectation setting. So essentially helping investors do their quarterly reports so that when they reach out to their investors, they're able to communicate with them accurately and responsibly and efficiently. So helping with that can be a useful service for fund operators. All right, we got one more here, and that's portfolio management. So this is once loans are in your client's portfolio, a bunch of things that you can help with, like collateral image review, preparing exception reports. So essentially identifying what's missing in a file and then documenting that so that you can send to a seller to prepare those missing documents and correct those exceptions. Property tax audit. So on a monthly or quarterly basis, scrubbing through the portfolio and making sure that all the homeowners are paying their property taxes if they aren't being escrowed. Then we've got senior status audit, especially for junior lien investors. They want to look to make sure that the first position mortgage in front of them is current on a monthly or quarterly basis. Then we've got bankruptcy monitoring. Again, scrubbing a portfolio is a really valuable resource for these clients, these note investors who otherwise have acquisitions to deal with. They want to get the next opportunity on their plate. So analyzing and scrubbing through their portfolio that they already own could go to the wayside if they don't have somebody on their fence like this, on their side working through the portfolio. Then we've got performing loan verification. So if loans are currently paying, making sure that those loans continue to pay, super valuable. Then a modification checklist. So essentially when a loan from non-performing status gets loan modified to be cash flowing again, making sure that all the paperwork is in order. And if there's a backlog of modifications that have already been completed, making sure that they've all been buttoned up. And then getting the missing documents even for your client could be a super useful service, especially if they're looking to sell a big package of cash flowing loans. Having that service to review all the documents before a buyer reviews them can make sure to eliminate a lot of that uncertainty and get the maximum value for the resale. Then we've got triage assessments. So basically prioritizing the non-performing loan portfolio based on the most important dire, stressful situations, so that you're able to hit those first to make sure you don't lose loans to a tax foreclosure or a senior lien sale, and essentially making sure to address those situations first so you can maximize the value of a portfolio. And finally, the last idea here is local pre-REO marketing. So putting out opportunities on Craigslist, Zillow, putting the listings out and making sure that you're able to sell these properties quickly and for top dollar. If you do take back a foreclosure or a deed in lieu of foreclosure, what are you going to do with the REO? So helping investors make that an easy process can be a super valuable service. All right, so let's kind of turn the page here and talk about communication and marketing, because that is probably the number one thing to start with, is to find your voice, find your clients. And of course, we've got some shortcuts for that, which we'll share for you in a minute, but I do want to share just a couple of channels here that you can just work on from the comfort of your own home office. First one here is email. So email is way more underrated and valuable than you might think. And sending emails, especially as you've developed a list, can be super valuable to turn people who you meet on the internet into clients. So build a list. That's number one. Create some type of lead magnet that speaks to your skill set and the future services that you might offer. And I want to be kind of upfront with you about how FIXnotes was developed. Originally, I thought FIXnotes was a collateral organization service. I thought that this business was essentially taking an unorganized mess of physical documents and digital documents and cleaning them up, organizing them so that investors could make decisions easier and have just much more clarity over their portfolio. Well, turns out that wasn't the business that FIXnotes became. FIXnotes, I was already doing portfolio management, so I leaned into that, did more portfolio management, started turning the education into a product that people could understand and get into the business with. So the point that I'm making here is that you don't have to have the exact product right away, but you need to start somewhere. And marketing is a great place, because then you can start to hear feedback from the industry, from the marketplace, to what is actually valuable, to what will actually make sense to their businesses. So don't fret if your first idea isn't the one that sticks. You got to keep iterating and figuring out where the place that you can fit in most would be. And another important point here is to lean into your existing skill set and interests. So you don't want to create a business that you end up hating. So find a business in a niche of the business of the niche, a niche of this niche that makes sense to you. I mentioned graphic design and creating pitch books. If you like graphic design and typography and you have an eye for detail, getting into that side of the business makes a ton of sense. Whereas if you're more analytical, if you love Excel sheets, using your skills for due diligence and training up a team for data entry, that makes more sense. So think about where you're coming from, your background, as you start developing your product. All right, so let's dig in a little bit more here. Responding quickly to email, of course, sending more email, as I mentioned, super underrated. So definitely go down that track if you can. Then we've got web. So number one is automate everything. We make sure to document all of our SOPs as soon as a new task is added to our team's plate. Once the SOP is documented, then we can decide either to delegate it or to automate it. And we use Zapier all the time, Zapier. Zapier.com can connect a bunch of different web services together to make your life so much easier. And then using platforms like we do with Podio can make your life as well so much more organized and can be automated as well. So building a platform. Podio is the platform that we've identified for our CRM, as well as our member portal. So all of our professional members have a suite of resources available to them in our Podio workspace. So essentially creating a platform, whether it's a discussion board or even your own social media presence, but creating a place where people can come to communicate and get ideas and see your experience and the skill that you can offer to them is a great foundation to build as you start getting into services. And exactly what FIXnotes did, we started by just offering all of this knowledge on YouTube and on our website, and then that was able to crystallize into a product as we learned more about what our clients needed. Next, create content. I love the idea of a surface area for luck. And if you can expand your surface area for luck by putting yourself out there, like this YouTube live or like a social media, like on LinkedIn or something, if you're able to just put yourself out there more, you're going to be able to attract like-minded people and eventually turn that into this type of opportunity. Tech proficiency, you got to develop it, especially in the mortgage note space. With real estate investors, their value add piece of the business could be actually swinging a hammer, GCing their own projects, actually doing that boots on the ground work. But in the note space, we are so much more able to work remotely. The computer, the technology is so much more important. So work on your hotkeys so you can work more efficiently in Gmail and Excel. There's many ways that you can automate and just improve the efficiency of your work. Use macros in Excel when you can. Use tools like the Stream Deck. I had a whole episode on this, on how you can automate things in your business with a Stream Deck. So just develop that tech proficiency so that you can be quicker and have that competitive advantage. Next here is parasocial relationships. By posting online, by sharing with you guys on this YouTube Live, I'm able to create relationships with you that are somewhat one-sided. That's what parasocial means. It's that it's a one-to-many relationship, but essentially by creating content, you're putting yourself out there for infinite amount of people online. I mean, not technically infinite, but millions of people that could one day turn into all types of opportunities. So developing those relationships can give you a increased amount of trust with your viewers that then you can turn into all of these other opportunities. Testimonials and reviews, really important when you do start to bring on clients, that you capture the testimonial, the transformation that those clients had, so you're able to use that in your future marketing. Getting reviews on Google or LinkedIn recommendations. Just as you go, chip away at it. Really important, because you're going to really appreciate that you have those reviews and testimonials as you start expanding your services. And then finally, launch your MVP, your minimum viable product. I cannot stress this enough. This is how FIXnotes went from organizing due diligence and collateral files as a failed idea to then creating a community of note investors that all work together to get better deals done with better strategy. This all developed because we launched an MVP, and then if it didn't work, we launched the next one. So make sure that you don't hesitate to put something out there. Don't spend a week of your time putting all the finishing touches on a service that ends up not selling. Try to sell it first, or at least sell the idea to see if you have a product market fit. So launching your MVP is so important. All right, finally, a couple little last ideas here on the phone. I would say that cold calling is most often a waste of time. It can be useful if you come up with a decent pitch, especially if it's just for market research and introductions. You can use cold calling to start expanding your network. But in general, I want to say when you do get on the phone, make sure you smile. They hear the difference on the other side of the call. And you can be charming even if they don't see your face. So lean into that, because developing relationships is critical in any business, especially in a small one like the non-performing mortgage note space, the secondary mortgage market here. All right, so parting words here on this topic is what you'll need to get started. First thing, training and education. Number one, you need to be sophisticated in the space. You need to be able to speak the language. You need to be able to work with investors that increases the value of their portfolio, increases the time that they can spend. So creating a value add service starts with understanding the market and getting educated. Next is network and deal flow. So having the clients in your network, having partners, investors, and others, that's part of your network. And I'll share with you in a minute here a little shortcut to working with a great network, and that also includes deal flow. So your sellers are part of your network. The opportunities that you bring to your buyers, that's all within your network, the people that you know. And I know you hear it all the time, your network is your net worth. Couldn't be more true, especially in real estate. And we've got software and tools. As we mentioned, tech proficiency, automation, really important to do business in the 21st century. So make sure that you have the right software and the right tools in place. All right, so we've got an answer for you. We can address all of those things with the FIXnotes system. So the FIXnotes system is twofold. It's the playbook and it's the professional membership. So the playbook is our real estate wealth accelerator. This is our action plan to go from a beginner all the way up to an expert note investor or a service provider by understanding every aspect of the business. We've got our foundation training and we've got our masterclass training. And you don't need to go through all of it. You can identify a training that makes sense for you based on what type of business you're building in the note industry. For example, Mortgage Note Matchmaker is one of our masterclass trainings. Mortgage Note Matchmaker teaches you how to create a loan sale advisory so that you can start earning transaction fees. Now, it's great to also understand acquisitions and due diligence. So that side of the business would be locked down for you. And you wouldn't have to really touch advanced resolutions and understanding more about portfolio management until you start buying loans for your own portfolio. So really important that we've broken up this course into these various modules, and actually all of these have multi-modules for different aspects of that particular niche, but really important we've set it up this way so that you can identify your fastest way to capital. And in the case of not having any money, starting with a service-based business like a Mortgage Note Matchmaker is a great place to start. Then we've got the professional membership. And this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where you get the network and the tools and systems and technology. So the professional membership includes our buyers club with the insider trade desk. So you've got a built-in list of buyers already. If you bring opportunities and put them on our insider trade desk, I don't take any fees of transactions that happen on the insider trade desk. You're able to take all of the capital you earn there for your own business to immediately have a return on investment of joining our program. Then we've got our mastermind, which previously this whole program was the mastermind, but I realized really the mastermind is just a small component of everything that we do. So the mastermind is our weekly open office hours. It's our monthly expert session meetings. It's our daily discussion board comments. So being able to get support at any time 24/7 by hopping over to our discussion board, which is moderated by me and by Bill McCafferty, who I mentioned. So every day we're going in and making sure that questions are being answered. So we're pointing you in the right direction. And then finally, blueprints. And this is probably the number one thing, having a blueprint to build a note investing machine. So we've got the templates, the documents, the tools, the calculators. We've got our vendor Rolodex, so you can get introduced to some of the best in the business. Our state and county database, so a little bit of a fintech component there. You can search any zip code in our software and know exactly what that zip code, county level and state level, entails for note investors. And then finally, custom software. So those of you who go through the entire FIXnotes system, it's a 90-day program. If you stay past that and you continue in the professional membership, we deploy our deal source dashboard, which is the software we use to attract and nurture your clients, both investors, borrowers, and note sellers. And we deploy our Podio platform for your portfolio management efforts. So that's the custom software piece that comes once you go through the full program. All right, so essentially, I mentioned this in the beginning, but we've opened this new tier called the starter level. So the starter membership is $497 one-time fee for lifetime access to our beginner course, the starter course, our core community, which isn't our expert forum. It's a lower tier forum that's a little bit less sophisticated, but that's the point. We don't want to overwhelm you when you're just getting into the business. And finally, our monthly workshops. The first one is today at 4 p.m. So definitely hop in, 30-day money-back guarantee. So you can get on this workshop tonight, see if it's for you. You can meet Bill McCafferty himself, see if it makes sense for you to stick around. So $497 for lifetime access to support in our core community and those monthly workshops along with the starter course. And then we've got our professional level membership, which is like the flagship. This is where you get everything from the starter membership for life. You also get our playbook for life, all of those masterclass and foundation series video trainings. And then finally, the professional level membership includes that buyers club, mastermind, and blueprints. You get 90 days of access for $29.97 if you prepay. Otherwise, you can do 3 monthly payments of $1,200. And that program gives you everything you need to create your note investing machine. And then finally, our top tier is the inner circle, and this gives you lifetime pro membership. So if you don't like subscription fees and you want to have deal flow in the buyers club for life, have access to all the blueprints, especially as they develop and improve, join the inner circle because you've got it for life. As well as, and this is really the secret sauce here, an in-person mentorship with me directly. So the mentorship is a 12-week program and it capstones with a summit where you come out to the FIXnotes headquarters here. We work together on your business one-on-one, and that is the inner circle program, which by the way includes our unlimited retainer. That's that little infinity sign at the bottom. Our unlimited retainer, which means you get access to my entire team, my marketing department, my portfolio manager like Bill McCafferty and the others on the team who actually work with assets directly. You get access to all of that on an unlimited basis during the 12-week program. So one-on-ones with me on a weekly basis, plus anytime you need them, tap in the rest of the team, they're available to get on a call with you. So Inner Circle, absolutely hands down the most value that we can offer, and that is $24,000 to prepay. All right, so all that being said, go to fixnotes.com/pro and you can get that 30-day money-back guarantee on the professional level membership. So I highly recommend you start there because that gives you lifetime access to starter and gives you a real taste for 90 days of everything that we offer with the blueprints, the mastermind, and the buyers club. All right, so with that being said, let's get into some asset opportunities and see what the inside looks like for our professional members. And this is a screen share here of our Podio workspace. This is the nuts and bolts, the portal that our members get into for all of the access. their events, the vendors, the case studies, our deal diaries. So there's over 4,000 deals in there that you can get really specific on the address, the UPB, the amount it was sold or liquidated for in a resolution or a loan modification. Then we've got our county and state level database, our blueprints, which is the templates, the tools, the calculators, the scripts, all the things that you need to actually run the business. And finally, the insider's trade desk, which is where every single day automatically opportunities get pushed into this platform, which my assistant will then go in and organize so you can see what state these deals are in, how big the opportunities are, and essentially identify if they're right for you. So really cool because these are automatic. I mean, you can see here the 23rd when this screenshot was taken, there was already like 10 loans already added, or 10 portfolios added to the deal desk. So very, very cool. And these are happening every single day. New opportunities are added. And you can add your own deal flow as well to earn transaction income from members of our group who have access to this list. There's over 140 members that could be potential buyers for you. So this is a built-in network. All right, as far as the next exclusive opportunity that I'm bringing to the group for my clients, that is our November offering. So it's coming soon. Obviously, November's right around the corner here. It'll probably be mid-November. We'll have non-performing first and second liens available for sale. These are no minimum, cherry pickable. You can buy just one loan. Actually, the smallest deal we did this year was $400. So a $400 asset, you can learn the business, actually putting some money at risk. And I would say, if you're gonna get started in this space to actually build your own portfolio, start small, because then you're able to learn all of the challenges through actually putting money on the line, even if it's a small dollar amount. And you know what, that $400 deal, I think that one was sold at 2.5% of the unpaid principal balance. It was a $16,000 principal balance. So worst case scenario, you just learn and you don't make any money on it. Best case, you get a full payoff for 16 grand on a $400 investment. Can you imagine how awesome that would be? And actually, if you want to check it out, go to fixnotes.com/metrics, METRICS, and you can see all the deals we've done in the last 2 years or so. So you can actually get a better understanding of what percentages of the principal balance loans are trading for and how much volume we move to members of our group. By the way, that metric sheet, those are only deals that I've personally represented for my portfolio management clients. The members of our group do a ton more deals just within the trade desk when I introduce them to other sellers in the space. All right, so let's jump in here to, I believe, the case studies. Yes, where the rubber meets the road. We want to talk about a specific deal here, a non-performing second secured by a single family residential property that was resolved with a loan sale this time. This is how my client was able to monetize this particular deal. It was a re-performing loan, so they turned it from non-performing to cash flowing and then sold it. So this one sold for $11,892. And if we look into the details here, we can see the fair market value is $289,513. The senior balance, because this is a junior lien, is the subject asset. The first position mortgage, the senior, was $216,645. So right off the bat, you can see there's $72,000 worth of equity protecting the $21,824 UPB, unpaid principal balance. So pretty high equity here. We've got a ton of protection as an investor. And normally we ask the 3 questions when we communicate with our homeowners. What happened? Where are you now? What do you want to do? We're taking a little different angle since this was a loan sale. First, we're going to talk if it was a bulk or a retail sale. Then we're going to go into a little bit of the due diligence findings as part of that process. And then finally, the final purchase decision of the buyer and how they came to that conclusion. All right, so bulk or retail. This is actually a bulk sale, part of a year-end closeout of legacy inventory. Now is the time to get into the note business because Q4 is a great time to be a note buyer. There's funds that are closing out. They want to liquidate all of the assets in the portfolio so they can pay off their investors and close down the vehicle. This is the time of year to get those fire sale bulk opportunities. In this case, the due diligence was actually a late 90-day senior lien. So this was the original acquisition from the non-performing loan. When my client purchased this asset, the senior was delinquent, 90 days. So that meant we got a better deal on the asset because there was a little bit of uncertainty whether the homeowner could afford the property and afford to keep paying that first mortgage. Either way though, we were able to work with them to get a loan modification agreement in place. We were charging 8.75% interest for a total monthly payment of $283 for 120 payments. So we also took a $250 loan modification fee when we got this loan modification agreement signed. They couldn't afford a down payment in this case, but they could put that $250 up to just put a tiny bit of skin in the game so that if they did redefault on it, that $250 would have just been lost. So generally we want to see larger down payments, but in this case, the $250 was a great place to start. And also it was seasoned before we sold this reperforming loan for 8 months. So we bought the non-performing loan, got it modified, collected those monthly payments for 8 months, and then sold it to a cash flowing investor who just wanted that monthly stream of income. And the final purchase decision here, this was part of a package deal. So the package was actually $67,000 in total, but this loan was that $11,000 piece of the package. All right, so a couple considerations here that I think are great takeaways for you. One, this was a seller fire sale. They were recapitalizing at the end of the year here, and these cash flowing loans were sold as part of a diversified package deal. So great for the buyer because it was diversified, and great for the seller because they could close out their portfolio, the good and the bad included. So this was a great loan because it was cash flowing, but there was other assets in this portfolio that were non-performing or even unsecured, deals that needed to be closed out of the fund so that the fund could shut down and stop incurring costs as the year changed over, but also gave the buyer a great opportunity to add value to the seller by taking on the good and the bad. And then the higher cash on cash return here, which we'll see when we calculate it in just a minute, was achieved because of the spotty senior lien status. As I always say in this business, if you reduce uncertainty, you maximize the value. A spotty pay history on a senior lien, or even a reperforming loan with a spotty pay history, that introduces uncertainty, which means that the price is going to be lower, which means the buyer is going to get a better rate of return as long as that performance does continue in a positive direction. Now, in this case, it was a 100% plus internal rate of return for the non-performing loan investor who bought this loan non-performing, fixed it up with a loan mod, and then flipped it to the cash flow investor due to the original acquisition with the senior lien being delinquent. As we talked about before, the senior was 90 days past due when the loan was acquired. So that meant we could buy that non-performing loan at a much better price than if it was senior current. As a junior lien investor, one of the first things you look for is that the first mortgage is paying every single month. And in this case, we bought the loan for 21% of the unpaid principal balance as a non-performer. Now, that's a great deal on a non-performing loan, even with the 90-day late senior status, because this was purchased as part of a bulk acquisition. And I'm really excited actually next month, I think in December, I guess not November, but in December, we're gonna be talking about how to earn arbitrage deals to essentially acquire loans at 21 cents on the dollar or less by being part of larger package opportunities, by being a smaller fish that just carves off a piece as your fee. So really excited to share how we can get better pricing like this in an upcoming episode. All right, so we sold it for 54.5% of the unpaid principal balance. That was the $11,000 figure, which represented a 26.5% cash on cash return for the cash flow investor. So that is pretty solid, and they were able to achieve that strong rate of return for a couple of reasons. One, because it was a bulk sale. Two, because of the uncertainty with the senior lien. And three, because it was kind of an immediate need. And this is bulk sale, but also fire sale. The investor needed to liquidate these loans to recapitalize and close out the fund. So that represented an awesome opportunity for the buyer in this case. All right, that is it for the case study today. Thanks for tuning in, guys. As always, the industry overview, the tech tips, the vendor reviews, the assets for sale, the case studies, the giveaways sometimes, and so much more on the Be the Bank Show. We're here every last Wednesday of the month around 1 p.m. Eastern. So tune in, subscribe to the channel so that you can be a part of this going forward. And I appreciate you guys. I appreciate all that I've been able to do in the note space because of you, because of the people who are members in the professional and now the starter membership level. Actually, we just got our first member yesterday, so starter membership is just getting launched. I'd love for you to be a founding member of this group. So definitely head over to FIXnotes.com and learn more about that. Otherwise, you know where to find me in the YouTube comments section. I'll see you there with any answers that I can provide to you to improve your business in real estate and mortgage notes. And until next time, thanks everybody.